him, you want to give up? You want to stop? Because he's in a clear mind. It can't be that it's confuffled with all other emotions, and he looks at swimming as that. Whereas for me, I kind of always felt that way, with regards to swimming.
For me, I'd play devil's advocate to that, though, because I think that the culture of sport and youth sport in the country has gone in many ways to the point of like they glorify the grind grind mindset, and I'm not saying that you're going to skip training, but I think that everything in life is a pendulum, right? So I mean, if you're indisciplined, you could probably use a bit more discipline, but at a certain point, you are pushing, and you get diminishing returns. So I always tell young athletes to be careful with that grind set as well, because I've found that the culture, especially in aquatics, is so much behind that 5 a.m., 2 a day, do more. And I've found that when I took a step back and I took ownership and I said, I'm exhausted. I'm completely wiped out. Every day I go to training and I feel like I'm worse than when the season began, and my in-season times are getting worse. And I need to take a step back. And if I'm tired, if I don't want to go, because I love swimming and I love seeing my friends, I always loved it. So if I get up and I'm like, I don't want to go to the pool, then something's wrong. Then I'm taking that day off.
But that is part of. In the champion mindset is also understanding that in that spiritual, that mental, all that being smarter is real, telling yourself, hey, maybe pushing 2K right now today in the swimming pool is not the best thing. My body is telling me something here. I might need to go on the beach or down the islands or play pickleball, something that allows you to...
No, we have to go to a break. What you're saying, and when we come back to, I will want to expand on it. We often hear, especially in this day and age, and I'm glad you mentioned it, here in Trinidad, but even in the world, about, especially with men, you don't have to enjoy things. Right? You should just push through. It's not about enjoyment, it's about just doing it. But when you do something you don't enjoy, physiologically it sends a stress signal to your nervous system. So therefore the effort, you could do it, but the effort it feels like to do it is way more. So then, it's sometimes even tricks your mind, well, I do all of this because even though, let's just say you do 5 steps, but the person who enjoy it do 10 steps, but it feels like 20 steps to you because you're pushing through it. You feel like, I do all this work, 1, what I have to show for it, or 2, I really deserve something because there's so much, but sometimes not realizing is because I really don't want to do it, or it's not in alignment with who I am.
Well, now think about, the athlete who's enjoying the whole process, and then he goes there and he doesn't get the result he wants. He's like, it's all right, because that wasn't that hard. That was pretty good, actually. Yeah. I got to wake up every day. I'm fit. I'm healthy. I get to see my friends. You know what I mean?
It's your narrative. I mean, your narrative mightn't be to win. And winning for you is different for someone else. Winning mightn't be the gold medal. Winning could be getting to the Olympics. Winning could be that I'm going to put in this work, or you've probably even taken yourself back to zero. Because a lot of times the hardest part is to unlearn. So even I remember, and I hate to use the pickleball analogy too, but I'm just going to say it quickly before I go to the break. So I used to play tennis, and a huge part of playing pickleball is actually unlearning a lot of tennis, because the tennis does not work for you in pickleball. A lot of the strokes and the way that you have to do it doesn't work. So it's a matter of me having to stop playing pickleball for a while and unlearn, like not play anything, and unlearn those movements, and then come and say, I'm just playing pickleball. And I'm only using that as an analogy to sometimes you saying, I need to just take a moment, I need to take a break. And whether you consider it a break or call it a break, it just means that you are needing to put your mind in a different zone to then come back and do even better. But as we talk about break, we need to take a quick one, and we're going to come back with don't expect the results, basically for the work that you did not do.
A mortgage is what helps you turn your dream of owning a home into reality. First Citizens helps you plan for every other cost, such as insurance, maintenance, and utilities. Mortgages build equity, offer long-term investment, and give you freedom to make the space yours. First Citizens is here to help you understand your first steps to a mortgage. First Citizens.
Struggling with blood sugar swings, high blood pressure, or stiff joints? Take control with Aja Nutrition's powerful wellness trio. Berberine Plus supports healthy blood sugar. Blood pressure support helps keep your pressure in check. And Joint Aid keeps your joints moving so you can stay active every day. Don't wait. Choose Aja Nutrition for trusted, effective solutions. Available at Pennywise and leading pharmacies nationwide. Feel better, move better, live better with Aja Nutrition.
Food Basket. Food Basket, nation's #1 supermarket, bakery, restaurant, meat market, fresh producers, everything fantastic. For everyday low price, things real nice. Come in once, but to come back twice. Wholesale, retail, everything for you. A real much you wanna shop for confused. Food Basket, the nation's #1 supermarket, bakery, restaurant, meat market, fresh producers, everything fantastic. Food Basket, Marketplace Shaguanas, where shopping is a pleasure and the price is right.
Hey guys, this is ManHOOD, and the topic is don't be upset by the results. We're here, we're chatting.
Yeah, so again, the fuller thing there is don't be upset by the results you didn't get with the work you didn't do. And then sometimes, like we said, not only to not get upset by the results, by the work you didn't do, but sometimes you put in the work and you still get upset, and that's rightfully so. I mean, that's understandable that you feel that you're doing everything to be optimal and you're still not achieving. And that, again, whether you have the champion mindset or not, or you just want to throw and say, oh, I'm useless, or I'm a loser, the typical things that would probably come with that, to say, I need to give up, I need to quit. And you probably see it at so many levels where people, maybe it mightn't unfold in the public eye, but I'm sure that's what a lot of persons who are, whether or not they're eating right, they get the best trainer, they're putting in the hours, they might be first out to training and last to leave, and it's just not working for them. And whether that could be adjusted or not, I mean, I'm no expert, I'm no coach, I'm no psychologist, but there's also the other side there where people get upset, like myself sometimes, where I go to an event and I may perform and I know I didn't put in the work, but yet still, as a man, you just want to win. It's like I had to beat you, regardless. And you're not thinking, man, this fella was training for 3 weeks. I don't care.
Yeah.
I want to beat you. And I was telling you a story at the break. We always tell, we always communicate what we communicate during the break. And I was saying about my son just did a 4-day swim meet, Noah, and he's 8. And he did a 200 IM, which is an individual medley, which is fly, back, breast free. And think about it, an 8-year-old in a 50-meter pool doing 200 IM, and fly alone takes it out of you. And he cut off 20 seconds from his last time. And as much as he came, he said, "Hey, Dad, I'm feeling good." I said, "Well, are you proud of yourself?" He said, "No." He said, "Are you proud of me?" I said, "Well, are you proud of yourself?" And he said, "Yeah, I did my best." And I said, "Good on you." And then, like a total ass, I then went right after that and I went, "Yeah, but you didn't beat the XYZ who normally beats you in the pool."
Before you come in, why are you feeling bad about it? Tell me.
Because he did well, and it's like he's 8, and as Dylan and so many, like a couple other top swimmers in his, would say to me, even coaches, they say, "Rob, he's 8," and to me it would be, yeah, but I feel if in this mindset that I play into the good job, then he may feel that I could sort of come off the gas a bit, and I wanted to know that I'm still here for you. It's like when you tell your child, instead of just saying I love you, say I love being your dad. It sends a different message. So for me, I wanted to say, how do you feel? But I also wanted to remind him, especially as he had another race coming up later, 50 fly or something, to say, but this guy who you have said to me, going into the meet and continuously say to me, he still beat you. Yeah. So I want you to have that in your mind to drive you. But I felt like a jackass because I said, you could have waited.
Yeah.
Dylan, I could have, you know.
Well, look, you know, we're kind of flipping it here because now we're talking about the dangers of celebrating, I guess is the word, or over rewarding small successes. So I always tell this story to kids' parents. It's from a book I read about the world famous Rafael Nadal, who was coached by his uncle Tony throughout his entire childhood. And he had this 13-year-old tennis tournament in Mallorca, where he's from. And he won the tournament or something, and his whole family lived in this apartment complex. He came home from the tournament, and his aunts and his mom had put up a big banner and got a cake. And they said, "Congrats, Rafa, congrats, you know, you won the tournament." And the uncle, Tony, the coach, came in right before, and he tore down everything. And he said, "Rafa, I want you to go into that record book over there and look up all the winners of that tournament you just won. Give me the 20 winners that just won the tournament. Read out all the names for me." And he read out the names one by one. He said, "Okay, you're a tennis fan. You love tennis, right? How many of those guys you ever heard of?"
Probably none.
None. You know? So I think we get trapped by this in the Caribbean, especially because we're a small country and we compete amongst ourselves and we compete amongst the islands. Yeah. So we run off to national champs, or we run off to your Carifta or whatever. And you win your medals, it's great. I'm happy. Yes, you have to start somewhere. Yeah. Of course. But then we go to, all right, you won Carifta bronze medal, so next step is Olympics. You've done great. You know, you're come home, the newspaper, you're the back page. Guys, it's age group swimming. These kids are supposed to be having fun. Yeah. There is, and it comes back again to the topic of, people don't, unless you're in a discipline, you don't understand how much work. And so that's where it comes to the entitlement of, I trained for 4 months, like, I'm supposed to win gold or whatever. Or I prepared for 6 months, but man, it takes years. It takes a lifetime in anything. It could be making mugs. You want to make the best mug, you can't do that for 4 months. Because the dude who's making the best mugs has been obsessed with mugs the past 30 years.
But I see, Dylan, it depends if the goal is to make the best mug, right? Because I think sometimes a lot of people okay with a bronze. Let's give an example. They okay, and this is not an indictment on people like that, because everyone have different goals, and sometimes because we looking on, we have different goals for them. Because you might see somebody and say they have potential to be XYZ, but that's you projecting sometimes your stuff on them, right? And I say not because understanding yourself, of course, and understanding the person you may be trying to motivate is important. Because, like, look, you with your son, and even that example you give, some people, and I've seen it, I have one student, every time his parents tell him he could do better, and he feels unsupported. Right? But his parents know, well, I know he could do better. So I said, let's try something. Next time he brings home the results, wherever he get, just say, we happy for you. Right? Now, they told me, I said, I was so hard to say because we know he could do better, but they said that. Right? And then the next day he came in session, he was like, he said, I know I didn't do as good as I can, right? But my parents support me. It feels so good. You know what? I go in and make sure next time to do better. And that was his motivation.
But how do you know that is their mindset So by knowing that, by saying that, you know that that's going to be how it's received. Because you could also tell someone that, and they could dress back
cool.
and be
yes.
cool. And
yes, because I've had that also. So again, and the same thing you was talking about with any goal that we trying to accomplish, no matter what discipline, trial and error is important.
Yeah.
So before, I can't remember if he said this on set or not. Right? He said the act of just doing something is bravery.
Yes.
More brave than the
Courage,
person who does nothing. So the act of even doing something. So from the time I do something, even though let's say it didn't work out the way I wanted, one, you have information now. A, option A don't work, so now I could go to B. Now it's possible you may have to reach all the way to Z now. But when you reach Z, you reach it. But if you never start with A, so even with motivating someone, you tell the person, well, you know, so-and-so still beat you. You watch to see the results first. And if the results is the person do better, and it's from a place, from a healthy place, you say, okay, versus, or you realize if you see that now the person feeling downtrodden, now it's not working, so then you can try a different approach. But so I believe in trying different approaches, and also that troubleshooting, you'll find your way.
I think just to jump in and save myself a little bit here, it's only because I really like. I grew up swimming in Trinidad, and I still train here and compete at a world level, and I really believe in the talent and the youths we have here, and I tell them all the time, you have 2 hands and 2 feet, you know, there doesn't need to be this conditionalization of everything where you did really good, pause, for a young boy from a small island from the Caribbean with all this conditionalization of why you did good. I think, you know, we have tons of examples of great people and athletes and you know, not even just athletes, but in all walks of life who've done great things from right here. So that's why I just sometimes feel like it's a cop-out when we say, oh, you know, you did good because you're the fastest in Port of Spain.
Yeah.
It's like...
No, but, you know, I understand why you'd want to course correct, because we are in a society now of cancel culture, and someone may take something and say, "Oh, Dylan Carter is you know, like he's saying this and he's diminishing a Carifta bronze," but that's not what he's saying. What you're saying is you have achieved. You know what it's like out there, and therefore someone getting the message is getting the message not from a couch potato, not from a keyboard warrior, from someone who's actually been there, done that, in it still. Involved in the world aquatics environment, and can now say that, hey, and maybe when I say now, I'm talking about you are now an ambassador for the sport. You've always fly the red, white, and black, and you have earned the right to be able to say, don't be satisfied with a Carifta bronze. What you have to look at it, like with Nadal, the uncle, where you can say you've won a tournament, great. In the sense that in the environment that you played, you outperformed, but don't see that as a need to. I mean, you celebrate wins, but then you have to be realistic to what is your journey, what is your end game, and if your end game is to be in the Olympics, then at Carifta bronze, you still have work to do, because you're not the best in the Caribbean, far less for when you now go up against the Australians and the Europeans and these persons. You have to be realistic, which is why sometimes, and I take your point and I say it all the time, even as a sports anchor, if you know you are going with a 10.03, right, and you are the best, say, in Trinidad and Tobago, and that makes you national champ, but you know that the record out there, the fastest times for the season, not the fastest times in the world, but the season, people going in there doing a 9.86, a 9.89, whatever the case may be, then you know the expectation of, yes, you can go and it's an achievement to be a national champion and then go to the Olympics, but don't expect that the nation as well should not expect that you're coming home with gold, because at that point, yes, everyone may do their best, but are you expecting that they're going to fall, have a bad start, whatever the case may be, because you know that the time is 9.83 or 9.89. And even, I mean, this could go down a whole other, whole other road, but it's to say that
I like where you're going now, because what I like about competition and ranking is that it is real. And it will show you exactly where you are, because I could imagine whatever I want in my mind, right? When I go to run a race, if I go to swim, if I go to compete and do an exam, it have a result that will tell me exactly where I am. And no matter how I could be sad, I could be happy, I could be from a poor neighborhood, I could be from a rich neighborhood, I could be from Trinidad or wherever it is. The result will show.
Will show it. So like even if I got Curved bronze, I would have been elated because I would not be expecting to go to the Olympics, or I would not be expecting, or it wouldn't be part of my dream to win an Olympic gold at the time, because, again, whether I put in the work or not, which I didn't do, I would have said, hey, that to me is, but then again, I would have been rewarded. It might have sent a message to my brain that I'm being rewarded for something that, so it could be counter, you know?
Exactly, which is kind of my point.
Well, rewarded for something, like I know I wasn't giving my best, I know I wasn't putting in the work, and yet still I was getting medals.
Because the standard is, right?
So, and it could send that other message. And again, you know, if we go back to
right,
of complacency. So we have, Kishon Walcott. Again, if you know Kishon's story, for example, Kishon, yes, he won Crifter gold, but Kishon never had any aspirations of going to the Olympics. His thing was, hey, I want to go on a flight, and his cousin told him, hey, Breds, if you could throw this for 50 meters or something, you could go to Crifter. And it started off as that. And then when he won Crifter, realized you have a talent. It's like, oh, you could meet the qualifying times for Olympic juniors, and then from there you
go on a longer flight.
And you could go on a longer flight, and then boom shot, you go to London 2012, and 86 point something meters later, you're the boss. 10 years later, 10, 12 years later, you are the world champion. But again, the in-between of that, maybe most of it at the start was natural talent and natural ability. But let's not forget, the work in between that to become world champion was constant, was work that people do not see on the days when you're being, whether it be ridiculed or you think people say you're washed up and all of these things. I mean, if you look at Dylan, if you show them your hand, I know you guys are training,
Keyshawn, thanks, bro.
The work these guys are putting, and it's Christmas time. They're home here, but they're still not necessarily all for the socials. The work that is being put in, because their destination, whether they knew it all the time or it's been a self-fulfilled prophecy or the parents have pushed them, is to be the greatest. And there's work that needs to be done there, so that's their expectation.
Coming to your point, I guess what it boils down to is, kids, dream big. You can do it. You can do it from here. We have everything you need. So don't settle. If that is what you want to do. So if that is what you want to do, if you love your sport and you see whatever the top level is, you think that's cool and that's something you want to do, go for it. And don't give yourself concessions or excuses, because you can do it. My advice would also be to do it in an individual sport, because then it's, your numbers, the rankings are the rankings, and there's no subjectivity involved.
Right.
So
and you don't have to depend on on
so that would be my also advice for you. But
So with that one, it's a good time to take us to the break. Don't expect the results. And again, don't expect the results for the work that you didn't do, but also even when you put in the work, right? Be measured in what your expectation is, and let it be realistic. Take a short break.
Trinidad and Tobago Carnival presents, for the very first time, at the Carnival Village, Queen's Park, Savannah, Port of Spain, Chutney Soca Monarch, the semi-final show. Friday, 30th January, showtime 7 p.m. 25 artists. RG the band, one stage, one night. Only 10 go to the final. Absolutely free to the public. Call 868-468-8728 or email southexevents@gmail.com. CSM 26.
Magical Expressions Limited is the largest local importer and distributor of fresh cut stems, offering the widest range of beautiful flowers at the most affordable prices. Call us today at 701-6488, 701-6680, 728-6786, or visit our website to order.
Good day, Trinidad and Tobago. A safer nation begins with you standing up, speaking out, and doing your part. As your Commissioner of Police, I am prepared to do my part Are you prepared to do your part? Get on board. Are you on board?
I am Bishop Ezekiel Clark, President of the Couva Police Station Community Council, and I am proud to say that I am on board with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service in their fight against crime in Trinidad and Tobago.
I am Panis Dean Gulston. And I am Panis Johan Chakri. And crime prevention is everybody's business.
Hi, I am Sajina Kadir, attorney at law and team lead for the attorneys for the TTPS Community Justice Clinic. We support the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service in the fight against crime.
Crime prevention is everybody's business. I am Shiraz Khan. I am a farmer. I support the TTPS in the fight against crime.
My name is Baldev Maraj, President of the Shagwana Chamber of Industry and Commerce. Crime fighting is everybody's business.
We are all on board.
This is ManHOOD, and we're discussing don't expect the results if you don't put in the work. And Robert here is asking why sometimes as men we have this bravado. Now, I think it could be a good, sometimes it could look in a negative light because it's arrogance or ego or even
stupidity
or even a delusion.
Delusion.
Right? But also it could be to be able to challenge yourself, because let's just say, all right, I am not a swimmer. I could swim, but I'm not a professional swimmer, and I could say, I feel like I go and take Dylan, you know, and I really try to see where I am now. I might be lengths behind him. But in my mind, I still push myself. I know I'm not good enough. So sometimes even having that gives you the opportunity to push yourself beyond something. So I'm looking at it.
No, but okay. So I want you to further that, but let me explain when I see the bravado. So by being in the pool, I pass and tell Dylan, I feel I could take in 15 meters, at least the first 15, right? I'm not stupid or naive enough or delusional enough to think I could beat him, but there's a part of me that genuinely believes I could take him at some point. And the thing is, even you might rally, you might talk about it in front of other people. I might go, but I could do this and I can do that. And even though you may go in the pool and from his damn dive alone, he's gone, right? And I there, my calf muscle might pull. You know, I may genuinely come out the pool deflated.
Yeah.
It's not like I come out and laugh it off. I might laugh it off in front of people like, oh God. And then all of a sudden now I'm saying, yeah, but the man's a 3-time Olympian. All of these things that were very obvious beforehand, but I wasn't saying that before I went in the pool. So, but the genuine feeling afterwards to come out and be like, hey boy, like you feel deflated.
Yeah.
Why do we have that?
I think it comes from a lack of respect or understanding of the work that actually goes into things.
And you can't be respect, but understanding. But go ahead. I agree with you, the understanding.
Really, really understanding the amount of work. It's the same way that you know, folks can sit around and watch football on the weekend and see a Premier League footballer, and I'm sure you guys have seen the video of the Spanish guy saying you wear the best shirt, and you sleep in a 5-star hotel, and you eat the best meal, and you have a sports psychologist, and you still miss the goal. And we could call X, Y, and Z a song for whatever reason because they didn't score a hat-trick or they miss an open goal.
Yeah. But you could go along this one as long as they don't call Manchester United, right? Because then the show getting cut off, right?
But you have no, like, we all have no idea what it's like to be in that stadium with 100,000 people screaming at you, and you didn't sleep last night. You got to take sometimes sleeping pills because you have to turn off your phone because everybody's texting you. I mean, it's the behind the scenes that people have no idea what it's like to fly to the Paris Olympics, and you walk on deck on the days before, and you're in the warm-up, and Team USA is over there with 40 people and 5 psychologists and 6 coaches and a massage therapist and a sports analyst and a data analyst, and I'm there with Dexter and George. You know what I mean? And this is for days. You're going in there for days, and it's the behind the scenes that you see me swim. and I'm not making concessions for my results. I'm just, I know that my other Trini and Caribbean athletes have the same experience. I know that, and they overcome despite. We saw Keyshawn win gold this summer at World Champs and Jerry win silver. And they have those similar, exact same things, and they overcome despite. So we are stronger because of it. But coming back to the point, it's the behind the scenes that people can't even fathom. And you think you understand what it feels like because, your pickleball tournament, you were a little stressed before your pickleball tournament, you know what I mean?
This man is pickleball.
No,
but coming back, like you said, most people, like we come back with the Crifter bronze, it's not to harp on the Crifter bronze, but it's just to say, I want to reinforce the fact that why you can speak about it from that level, because you are at the top. And not just the top in Trinidad and Tobago, but you are the top in terms of in the swimming fraternity. And the behind the scenes is so important because a lot of times, unless you're seeing now like Netflix documentaries and things like that, you don't have any idea. I mean, you see Noah Lyles, for example, coming and behaving a particular way, and people go, oh, he's a jackass, he's a this. But that's all part of his gamesmanship to get himself psyched up.
It's a circus, bro.
And it's a circus, but the work that is put in is what people don't see.
Well, you see, that's our brain. That's our reflexive thing our brain does to understand something. If we look at, let's say we're watching football, right? 22 men on the field. Your brain don't have the capacity to try to analyze every 22-man intricacies, right? It's just like if I'm walking on the street and I'm seeing people, right? I would only judge people reflexively on my perception or my stereotype of how they look. I don't have time to wonder, well, if this person didn't wake up good this morning and things like that. It's only maybe if I sit one-on-one with someone and that is my purpose.
But do we care? I think that's what he meant by respect. The fact is, some people... Do we even care to really understand? Do I really want to? I mean, I know Dylan was dad, but but outside to people who are listening on, hearing him, are they really sizing him up? Looking good, dressed, and all the rest of it? Like, do they really care what he has to go through to be up there? What they want is, and again, I'd love for you to talk about this. There's also something with, we would look at you going up there, and you are representing us. And we want something that uplifts us to be able to tell somebody else, hey, he's Trini. And so when you don't do it, as much as people may call you all sorts of names leading up to it, when you don't perform or you don't win, it feels like we all have lost. And therefore it makes me now have to somebody, like if it's a Jamaican, say, beat us, now to come and take all our set of level pecan about and all, they can't do this and we beat you, and it's a representation of that point of all of us. And I'm saying that you go from national to probably community to club to like if it's an individual sport, it could be family, to just the different levels of feeling disrespected. So I do take the point of respect.
Well, I think it's twofold, because one, I'll go from the aspect of human beings, we are naturally social creatures. So therefore we want to connect and a sense of belongingness. So if I'm Trinidadian and I see somebody representing Trinidad in whatever it is, it don't matter. I will feel some kind of connection to that person. So therefore, and even if it's a 2% connection, so if that person does something positive, I would feel better about myself because I feel like I belong to them. If it's something negative, similarly. Also, and this is even from growing up, right? We have something in our brain called mirror neurons, right? Where that's how we learn how to, especially it's active the most as a child from a baby. So that's how children learn to walk, learn to speak, etc. Because they're seeing what it is and they're mirroring it. When we look at someone and they do something fantastic, part of us think, well, if they could do it, it's a possibility I could do it too. But if you can't do it, now I'm looking at myself, wait, boy, he can't even XYZ, so now I look at myself in that way. So therefore, I'm not thinking about what happened to you last night. If a family member die and you're going through something, I looking at you, what you represent is a reflection of me in some way, even if it's not 100% reflection. So I just want it.
In that perception, is that why I might look at like Dylan? not know entirely what he goes through, the mindset, what he's had to sacrifice, more importantly, to not have to be able to do what he does. And in that, think to myself, I could take him.
Yes. Yes. Because part of it, again, we see in ourselves and other people. And so that way, you see, well, I could have trapped that ball better than that big player on TV, right?
I know could have scored that.
Yeah. Exactly, right? We know about that.
But it's good to understand that, because I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing, because understanding ourselves, it will help us in terms of our own journey with competition, our own journey with goal orientation. Because when sometimes you realize, wait, now, it's more about that person than me, you could probably sometimes change your methodology.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do through sport, right? I'd be interested to get your opinion on this, but do you think that the flip side is at all true, where sometimes when you see somebody from the same neighborhood as you do something, it almost makes you feel like, man, why didn't I do it? Why didn't I do it? Is there that sense at all as well in when we support?
Like, why did I think of that, or why didn't I
and then if that person reaches to a certain level, and you see them fail, you say you almost take a little bit of concession from that, because you say, I
dodged that bullet.
It takes them down a notch,
Yeah. And that's a very Trini thing. I mean, we had Michael Phillips was on here at one point, and he spoke about being what's it called? Fashionably unimpressed. And as we spoke about that's a very Trinbagonian thing. Yeah. It also comes from a position of trauma. And Johanse went on to explain some of that trauma. Yeah. And a lot of times as we sit down as couch potatoes or keyboard warriors, and it's easy. I mean,
it's a dilution.
But I love that for this show, because every time someone, if they do, I mean, nobody does it anymore, but takes to, comments on manhood, for us it's material, because it's like, where are you? Like where are you in your smallness, or what is happening with you in your life? Because a lot of times it's a reflection, it's a mirror, and you don't like to see something. And a lot of times, if it's particularly, we don't look at it as negative, it's particularly jarring, we invite them onto the show, because this is a space of courage. This is a space for men to talk. And instead of breaking each other down, we should be finding ways to build each other up. And as we talk about the results that we get, sometimes you said about you're putting in the work, but you're not winning, you're not getting that goal for whatever reason. I remember my sister sending me this meme once that said about continue to applaud everyone around you until it's your moment to go up onto the stage. And that is so true, that while you're still putting in the work, continue to to applaud, but don't be quick to pull the moment something happens, because life is, like you said, it's a pendulum. To, in some ways, and I don't want to use the word happy, because you can't really be happy, but there's a part of you that takes some sort of
solace, I guess.
From somebody failing. It's like solace, because you haven't done it.
And but what I would say, is just to I think the inability to applaud our fellows, our countrymen, our teammates or whatever, it's an insecurity. It is 100% insecurity. So I just want to further that point, guys, like. Let's support each other. Like, it's a real positive note for us to end on, and I think it's one way for you to uplift yourself. Like you said, it makes you stronger when you support the others around you until it's your time, and then you make your community stronger in that way.
This guy is going to be a lot of time break down the science of that and why we do that. But you had a story that you were sharing with me, and it was impacting, because even though we're speaking about results, and in my case where I might think I could take you, I am stupidly, asininely expecting that I could take you in some part of that race for the work that I didn't do And even if I did put in some work at my age now, it's not likely that's going to happen. And there you are putting in the work and you will get the results in this case. Now, until we actually do the race, we don't know. We don't know. I might take him in the dive. I don't know. A false start, like they said, there's always, like they say, anything could happen on its day. But you were sharing a story with me with regards to the messaging and that we're putting out there now, and we really try, Dylan, on shows like this to reach people where they're at.
Yeah.
And some people may go and say, hey, how you wearing all them tight clothes? And how he head always shining, I can't see the first half of his head. And it's always something that people look at to somehow, whether to break it down in somehow, when we really just a bunch of brothers just trying to bring across a positive message. But you were sharing that your experience, even in the world of aquatics, that they're now turning to people like you to really get the right...
Yeah, I had some... within the sport of swimming, and Olympic sport in general, we're dying. Our viewership is going down. Our viewership is aging. So we were having some conversations a few weeks ago about, coming back to your point of genuine messaging, right? And it almost comes back again to like getting upset after events and how that's been sort of shamed as well. Like if I were to fail in my event and I take off my goggles and throw it, they'll say, "Wow, Dylan's nuts. Something's wrong with him." But to an extent, when you do put in a lot of work, there is that aspect of frustration. And I think that the advice we were getting, in terms of the media training is we're so tired. We're so tired of hearing these interviews. And for young athletes, this would be maybe an anecdote for you. We're tired of hearing the race went well, thanks to my mom and dad, thanks to my coach, and I felt good, and thanks. We need something more. And the sad thing is that I'm kind of going on a tangent now, but it's not enough to just be a good athlete anymore in the age of social media. Mm-hmm. So in order to bring branding to yourself as a young athlete, there needs to be authenticity. There needs to be the ability to be yourself and say, that race was mm-hmm. That race I felt like
No, Dylan, there's a whole new level of bravery you're talking about there. First, there's a lot of bravery to even reach on stage to compete. Now you're asking me to be myself. Now I understand where you're coming from, but just showing you, and I'll give a quick example.
Well, it's a challenge. It's a challenge I put out to young athletes.
I remember working with some athletes, and so top of their game, so the skill is not an issue. But I remember one of them was really nervous before, and we wondered what going on, right? All the conditions, quote unquote, were right. And then he finally admitted, and without his teammates, he said, "I never was on a plane before, Right, I was afraid." Then somebody else said, "They're not good at taking talk, but they know they're going to play an away game, so they know the fans would be saying things about them, and they heard some other stories about people cussing, people not respecting the anthem, things like that, and they were afraid of that. So now to be your authentic self, now I agree with you, but I'm just showing to the other level of it is, as you said, is not only the physical aspect, but it's the mental, emotional, the psychological.
But isn't there strength in that?
Yes.
Can't our young people get strength in that, in knowing that myself is enough? I don't need to do this race as something I'm not. I can just go there and be myself, and when I get out and they ask me how it was, I'm just going to tell you how it was, and whatever I say, whatever comes out of my mouth is how I feel.
But Dylan, aren't those the athletes that we listen to more?
Yeah.
The ones that come out and, whether it be the NBA players and they shake their head, people, the media, different areas will take out, some clickbait and say this person said this and said that. But really and truly, the persons that you would look at, they get more following, people, because they've been genuine. Yes, I want to, and just a quick note, I hosted a Miss World recently. And a big part of it, even though there was an expectation of, okay, what you get, Robert Dumas is hosting a particular event. But Adrian Raymond, who really understood pageantry and was behind the scenes for the whole lead up to it, was able to come on and express and give the audience a real understanding of what these girls went through, and not just what you see on the stage at this point. And I can tell you it was appreciated probably 90% more than the run-of-the-mill stuff I was giving. Because the parents, the supporters, the enthusiasts, all there are really interested to know that, okay, well, is it just that these some pretty girls are picked, they walk around with their swimsuits here now? But when you start to find out about the training that they did, the elocution lessons, the media training, the work that they took them over the last 3 to 4 months, it gave you all of a sudden a different appreciation for the fact that they're not just coming on this stage. And it's the same thing for you. I want to hear more than thank you to my parents. I want to hear, like you said, this was and so, or I can't believe I did that, or I didn't hold my breath, and something, not necessarily.
Well, anybody who's seen me after one of my not so great races has gotten, I think, their fair dose of that. So if you have, I apologize.
But even if it might, don't apologize.
I guess,
because what that shows me is authenticity. Yeah. You are not happy with a lot of times as we know it, and I know we have to close, but just to say that, after whether it be football or anything we get, or cricket, you always hear we know what we have to do.
Yeah.
We have to go back to the thing, we got, and the person behind the scenes, the person listening on is probably like, you watch a different match to me, or which is going on.
Or sometimes you don't even listen anymore because you know what they're going to say.
You zone out.
That's it. There. I appreciate the coach now again. You shouldn't air your dirty laundry, and I get that aspect of it. But as you said, being an individual sport, I want to know that you are. What are some of the areas that you've picked up on? Not that you're going to blame. A good workman never blames his tools. And not that you're going to blame the association. Those may be factors, but those are things that you don't want to be branded with at that point. But where you show grit and you show, whether it be disappointment or even in the achievement, that you are able to highlight something specific that I could better understand the journey, as opposed to what's immediately in front of me, that, hey, you got this gold medal, why are you going to spend this money, and I'm biting it. Yeah, I want all of that as well, because I want to celebrate with you, but also in your not achieving, I want to be part of that journey, and maybe to hold you accountable, as well as a nation or as a supporter, in how do we make this better. And the usual, thank my parents, thank the association, my coach, again, clicks at that particular point. But before we wrap, Dylan, I want to find out, as you said about being yourself, who is Dylan Carter, and what drives you? Yes, you love swimming, but what got you to that point? And what is a message that you can give to young men out there who are putting in the work, or even if you're not putting in the work and you're expecting a particular result, like I said, sometimes I may do, but to get you into that mindset of just being the best in whatever environment you are.
Well, I think it's just what you said. I always was fascinated with how far I can go. And I always wanted to, I still want to find out what that is in terms of anything I can do. So I think at a very, very basic level, that's the challenge that I would raise to all young men out there is find out how far you can go. Isn't there a beauty in that? We're here on this planet, in these bodies. Why not? Why not find out what is the most I can do? And why not explore all the facets after you've explored the physical? I'm not getting any stronger. I'm 29 years old. Am I going to get, my strength at any given time, at any given competition is going to vary by 2%. And my endurance is going to vary by 2%. So I've got to try and balance those numbers so that I get to the big meet where, I'm peaking. But the peaking for me is, so small. So exhaust all of the avenues of yourself, and you might you might find out some stuff about yourself that you never knew. And
what's one of those things? Whether it be, and I wouldn't want to use the word negative. What is a positive that you've realized through all of this pain? Because there is pain in that a lot of it. Because whereas you may, whether somebody might look at you and say, oh well, you don't have the financial burden, but money's not going to buy you success. A gold medal. The pain that it takes and that mindset. What is something that you've look back on and go, wow, I'm proud of this part of this that I've seen, and this is something that I would like to shirk.
The fact that I can take pain. The fact that I can take pain in all forms. I can take physical pain, I can take emotional, mental pain, I can take disappointment, I've felt, sport is such a beautiful thing because it is that emotional mega roller coaster of the highs being way up here and the lows being way down here. And I have felt levels of disappointment and crushing defeat that, I don't know that I could have felt that any other way. And I carry that with me in my pocket for the rest of my life. I've been crushed before. Mm-hmm. I've been to points where I think that this is all lining up. And, 22 seconds. Gone. See you in 4 years, bro. And that takes a long time to deal with. Mm-hmm. And that strength is going to be with me. And me approaching any other challenge in life, like I know that I can be bad. I can face anything and suck at it because I know that I've faced the disappointment. So I mean, it may be a little dark, but I think that in a way, sport can take you to that dark place in a healthy way, right? In a healthy way. And there are times where sports can take you to that dark place in a very unhealthy way. Mm-hmm. But it is a way to challenge yourself.
Do you have a mantra?
Not
or anything
really.
Like it? Like
no.
In those moments
I mean, I have cue words. So like I'll curate a cue word over the course of a season so that I know like in that moment I'm thinking like two things, like long and strong, long and strong, long and strong. And if I can break it down into just that, where you can speak to this, but front brain and brain stem, if you can just make it into the beast, if you can just, they say unleash the beast. Mm-hmm. If you can do all of that training, that preparation with the front of your brain, the rider of the horse, to then let the horse just run with those cue words.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
And so in my closing, what has helped me and even helping others in terms of accomplishing the goal and putting in the work is understanding the reward system in the brain, right? The reward system again, the most times the end, and I think part of the middle result is the dopamine, but there's an entire process that it goes through. Now I wouldn't break down every little thing, but it's the process that is build the entirety and where it feels satisfied, right? Because all of us, I think I could speak for everybody, right? Everybody, all of us want satisfaction. And satisfaction just looks like different things. Mm-hmm. It could be degrees, it could be a family, it could be a gold medal, it could be whatever thing. I want to feel satisfied, but satisfaction only comes through a process. Anytime it comes too immediate, it is feel good, but you don't feel satisfied. It's like eating something, right, that you don't really want it to taste good. It full your belly, but you're just not feeling that satisfaction. So putting in that hard work brings that satisfaction, and that's why too it should be something you enjoy. So therefore the days when you don't want to do it is not that bad, and it wouldn't take too much out of you.
Yeah.
So like what you said, I mean, I don't have much of a close, but just very pensive in the thoughts and the information that I've learned here once again. But as you would speak about reward, because exactly what you said about instant gratification is exactly that. There's a rise in your body and a feeling of the dopamine coming into your body, but then there's a crash after that because there was no build to it. And where we come back to what you were saying about man is built for reward. We are driven by that reward, and therefore there must be some level of whether it be, again, I bring up this story when my dad was alive, and I was raising money for him for his treatment for cancer, and I trained for a marathon, and what I would learn through that is that I could tolerate that pain, and it with enough focus and enough reward, you can achieve anything. And what it was is, even at the end, it was passing that finishing line was to know that all the months, all the early mornings, all the doing the right things at that point came to this moment, and that is what made it a lasting feeling, as opposed to somebody saying, "Hey, you want a bailout," and then you get a quick moment, quick and then because there was no effort, there was no work that was put into it, and therefore you can't, again, coming back to the topic, you can't expect the results for the work that you didn't put in, and with that, so with the results,
the satisfaction,
and the results equal reward. And so, gentlemen, this has been another really, really impactful one. Dylan, wish you the best going forward. It's really insightful to learn that even at a particular age, like we learn about Cristiano Ronaldo, where yes, age is, there's only a certain amount of time in the sport, but that I think you'd be going through the period now where you're tweaking other things and maximizing and optimizing on other areas to adjust. And as you mentioned, 22 seconds, 4 years training for 22 seconds really put something into perspective, and to know that while the world is not looking at you at that point as in a lens that they do during Olympics and World Championships, you still keep going. You still keep going. And I could only applaud you for that. So
thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been a real pleasure. I really feel like I could sit here and chat with you guys for all day about all sorts of nonsense, but I know you guys don't want to hear about all that stuff.
They do, but they probably want to click onto something else by now. But really, really, this again is probably going to be shown after Christmas. But wishing you guys a Merry Christmas, and all the best in the new year. And you're welcome anytime on the show. Once you're back and forth in Trinidad and Tobago. So don't expect the results for the work that you haven't done. And even when you put in the work, let your results be measured. Be realistic to what that goal is. And if that passion and that journey is no longer for you, switch. Move on to something else. As one friend once told me, dream another dream. Yeah, this is Manhood. We're talking about don't expect the results. Dylan, Johanse, always a pleasure.
Manhood, brought to you in part by Solomon Bespoke.
You're watching CNC3.